First State of the City address Thursday at 5:30 p.m. at the Jackson Convention Complex. He's expected to highlight his first 100 days and outline plans for infrastructure, safety, and economic growth. And LeBron James teased a major announcement on Instagram, calling it the decision of all decisions. The video shows him seated on a basketball court, echoing his 2010 ESPN special. He says he'll reveal more today at noon Eastern. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Celebrating 100 years, Mount St. Mary's University LA is dedicated to moving your life and career forward. Earn your undergraduate or graduate degree and become unstoppable. Find out how at msmu.edu.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers remain undefeated in the postseason after a tense win Monday night in Philadelphia. The Dodgers held on for a 4-3 victory. They're up 2-0 in the best-of-5 divisional playoffs. They can close out the Phillies with a win in Game 3 Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said there are no plans to move the NBA All-Star Game if the Clippers are punished by the league for alleged salary cap violations. The NBA is investigating the Clippers and team owner Steve Ballmer. The Clippers are the host franchise for the All-Star Game, scheduled for February 15th at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. After Week 5 of the NFL regular season, New York Jets coach Aaron Glenn remains the only coach in the league without a win. The Jets are 0-5. Glenn, in his first season with the Jets, is one of 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate, with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless, for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Man, I feel like money. Man, I feel like money. Attracted to me. They come around like honey. They come around like honey. I fly like a bee. Man, I got them all back to back up in the mix like that, and I know you like it when it's just like that. Harder girlies just love my swag, from my kicks to the way I fix my hat. I'm back, fresh like some new days. Brody got next, NBA 2K, I'm 2K. Shaded with some ladies, reppin' my city. West LA, baby? West LA made me this way. 2 rules, stay fresh, homie, get paid. Hey, never broke and never bummy. I'm from where it's forever sunny, and I feel like
she always feels like money. She's a true pioneer in the field of economics, focusing on the labor market, public policy, and the impact of that policy on women and people of color. She's a SF native like me, but studied economics at Boston College, a PhD from MIT. She's an author and an activist. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, good morning.
Grand Rising, Dominique. Good to be with you.
Great to have you on. Boy, you got to be busy counting and doing math and trying to figure out what is going on these days. I have so many questions. I almost don't know where to start. But we're kind of in a season of tariffs, right? I mean, even though they're erratically applied, and he applies it and takes it back, and there's one over here and then one over there, and it's almost impossible to keep track of. We are experiencing the impact of these tariffs right now, correct?
Absolutely. No, consumers are experiencing it. I'll tell you just a funny anecdote from less than 20 minutes ago. I was walking back from the post office, stopped at the hardware store. They have these little caramels, and they're imported from Ireland. And for the longest time, they were $3 for $1. Now they're $2 for $1.
Okay, that's a big increase.
And I said to the guy, I said, come on, dude, what's up? Because we always joke about this and that and the other. And he said, we import these. We have to pay tariffs. He said he could have gone. He likes a convenience of 3 to 1, 2 to 1, whatever. He said that's what he had to do. I said, all right. I said, I'll take 2. Which I had to do. He said, you could take 4. I said, $2. Not today, brother. I'm not breaking my diet and my pocketbook over this. But I immediately noticed it, because usually when I'm at their front counter, I grab 3 caramels. And so but everybody's having those kind of bling moments.
Right.
Moments where you're like, I paid this for this, and and now it's much more. Well, the other thing that some manufacturers are doing, and if they're not doing it now, some of them are, but if they're not doing it now, they'll be doing it, is with the size. Anyway, so adjusting the size of a product. So you used to get a bag of cookies and it was 10 cookies. Now you get the bag, the same price, but it's 8 cookies.
Right. So that's how they raise the price without raising the price point.
Exactly. So you just think, oh, I paid $2 for this. It's still $2. And when you get home, if you have crumb snatchers, they're like, Mom, they're 2 cookies short here. But that's kind of like the president, just a few cookies short.
The thing about it is hard to keep track of, since he keeps changing his mind about whether to impose them, how to impose them. But a friend of mine made a really interesting point, was that a lot of these tariffs have exceptions to protect his billionaire friends.
Of course. No, these tariffs have all been completely discretionary. In other words, there's no economics surrounding why we're doing these tariffs. There really isn't even any policy. Well, there's some politics, and that's a politics of prospering. He's prospering, saying, look at what I'm doing, look at what I'm doing. And he tells this fairy tale that's 10 years of, well, if I do this long enough, somebody will build factories, and that will make this American jobs. Well, who's going to build the factories? It's worse than a grim, and grim is a proper word, fairy tale. I mean, he keeps saying this is what's going to happen, but he's not offering people subsidies now, unless they happen to be, farm workers or Argentinians. But he's not offering people incentives or anything to say, if you build a factory, I will give you X. No, he's just saying these factories are going to fly down from the sky and land someplace, and we'll have tax.
Right, because of the tariffs. And the thing about it is, I feel like, from my analysis, we're just at the beginning of the price increases, because many of these are barely going into effect. And a lot of times with, buying cycles, retail cycles, it takes a while for the price increases to really kick in.
It does. So none of these are instant, although some of these things we've seen almost immediately. Some we have people taking advantage. If everyone's talking inflation, shoot, why not raise my prices here? But all of this stuff, you see, he started talking crap the minute he was sworn in. His inaugural speech was nothing but a pile of crap. So having said all that, nothing happens immediately. So inflation, he said he was going to deal with inflation on day one. You don't deal with inflation on day one. That's not how it works. So now we're beginning to see inflationary things kick in. China has had a hard time with the uncertainty. We're going into the Christmas season where, unfortunately, our people buy a whole lot of junk, and a lot of it is made in China. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing things like the fake Christmas trees go up in price. I said, you're seeing other things made in China going up in price. A friend of mine who lives in one of those import stores, she needs to get a job. That's another story. But she lives in those places, and she's saying the little, how you might have an event, you have little goodie bags for people, anyway, the Christmas goodie bags went up. And you're an economist, explain this to me. I said, stop buying crap.
Simple explanation. But when you say that's not how inflation works, inflation is really global, right? For the most part. I mean, that's not something presidents per se can control, but there are some things they could do, correct?
There are things that people can do to control inflation. Although it's challenging to really, quote, control it. But you're right, it's a global phenomenon. The globe tends to walk in lockstep. Some countries doing much better than others. The United States usually does better, but quite frankly, the dystopian disruption that has come from this man means we don't know, very few of us even know what's happening with the economy. Today would be the day, my favorite day of the month, Unemployment Day month. And the first Friday, unemployment rate comes out, and those of us who are labor economists, we're as happy as pigs in doodle. I could spend a day playing with that data and then go back and spend the next day doing it. Well, we don't have that information. Now, what's wrong with not having that information? And we don't have the information because the government shut down and da-da-ba. But what's wrong with it is that a lot of people make predictions and even purchases based on that economic information. The title of the publication is The Employment Situation. And like I said, it comes out every first Friday, but not this first Friday. And so a lot of people don't have the information they need to make decisions. Now, it's fair to say that there are alternate ways to measure employment. You have private employment measures like ADP. They process paychecks for a section of the population. You get information from there. And there are a couple of other places like that where you can get some information, but it's not as comprehensive as the information that was coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And then one wonders, before I say that, there's also a preliminary ADP report that said that private sector employment went down by about 25,000. So that's a concern.
I mean, could the president be looking at that as a bonus, like a bonus from his shutdown, from the Republican shutdown? Is now you don't have to see the jobs data, which is not going to be good.
No, I think it is. Well, all of the things they do, with this shutdown, what have they done? We're not getting the data. There are some government operations that have slowed in significant ways. And because they're shut down, little Mike Johnson sends Congress home, which means a Democratic woman who was just elected to her dad's seat in Arizona cannot be seated until the whole Congress is seated.
Because then they might have to release these Epstein files if they would see it.
She's interested in the Epstein files, but I hope that she's also interested. You see, I'm a little bit less interested than many about the Epstein files. I mean, he was a horrible pedophile, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're victims, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not sure we're going to get that much out of the Epstein files. I mean, we're not going to find Donald Trump with his hand up a 14-year-old skirt.
Are we sure?
Well, actually, no.
I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, and of course, the rumor is that Epstein introduced him to Melania, which, would also be embarrassing. But we don't know. Like you said, we do not know for sure. We are merely speculating. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on so many things, not the least of which is, all these moves seem to be anti-business. So how is it that the Trump administration is making them. There must be something I'm not seeing, from the government shutdown to the tariffs to even the ICE raids, which are harming certain kinds of businesses, hospitality and farming and agriculture. How is this pro-business? What am I missing? We'll get that answer from Dr. Malveaux when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Everyday penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at KBLA1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to KBLA1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Hello, KBLA listeners. This is Dr. Paul Wallace. I want to discuss a type of eczema called atopic dermatitis, which is often misdiagnosed in Black children and adults. Atopic dermatitis is an autoimmune disorder that can be accompanied by food allergies, hay fever, and asthma. This rash targets the inner arms, behind the knees, and face, but can go all over the body. It causes excessive dryness and 24/7 itching. It's the scratching and steroid use that leads to permanent scarring. I'm enrolling patients in a new clinical research study focused on better treatment options for atopic dermatitis. Of course, your medication and travel reimbursements are provided. To see if you qualify, visit dermstudies.com or call us at 323-296-0048. That's 323-296-0048. There's nothing worse than itching. Let's take the next step in controlling this problem.
Celebrating 100 years, Mount St. Mary's University LA is dedicated to moving your life and career forward. Earn your undergraduate or graduate degree and become unstoppable. Find out how at msmu.edu.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
So we got one of the world's most respected economists, Dr. Julianne Malveaux, on the phone, and I'm trying to understand a few things. I asked you, Dr. Malveaux, how is this MAGA agenda pro-business? And I forgot to even mention the airport shutdowns of yesterday, which will only, or slowdowns, I should say, which will only mount as this government shutdown drags on.
Well, first of all, I mean, it's interesting when you say some of the actions are anti-business, but Dominique, it depends on which businesses. I mean, the last piece I wrote was like, who gains when the economy implodes? There's always gains, losers, and winners. So who gains when the economy implodes? People who are sitting on a whole lot of cash. They can buy stuff distressed. People will lose their homes. They'll be foreclosed on, and somebody will buy their home for 20 cents on the dollar. Ditto businesses. You might expect to see a period of business consolidations up through here, where lots of little small businesses either come together or someone else brings them together so that they can, quote, work together. So anyone who's sitting on the cash is a gainer right now. So Trump's tariffs, his actions seem to have no rhyme or reason. But this is what you have to remember about Donald John Trump. He has gone bankrupt more than 40 times.
What? I thought it was 7 for 30.
Okay, my numbers are getting mixed up in my head. He has more than 7, at least 7 times he's gone bankrupt.
Okay.
The quiet bankruptcies that we don't know about.
Right.
The question is, what happens when somebody goes bankrupt? Who protects them? And that's a question, because who is protecting this man who is in the throes of both dementia and dystopia, but who is protecting him and why? And that's when you look at who got exceptions. These are the people who have been hooking him up. And in a desperate attempt to stack some cash, they started, he and his kids, and as kind of crazy as he is, have started this Bitly business, going into Bitcoin and making millions doing that. Well, if they're so wealthy, why do they need to do that? Answer: because they really ain't that wealthy. Somebody is holding their notes. That's my theory, and I have little proof. I have some. When you look at who's gaining, when you look at who he talks to, when you look at all those technocrats from Silicon Valley who went bended knee to his inauguration, they weren't there to celebrate him. They were to make sure that they got the hookup. Right,
of course. So now they're talking about these so-called Doge dividends, like a stimulus check somewhere in the $1,000 to $5,000 range. They're calling them Doge dividends or tariff dividends, stimulus checks from $1,000 to $2,000 bucks per person. Trump talked about last week. What do you make of that?
Ain't happened. It's very unlikely to happen. And if it does happen, it's very unlikely that the majority of the population, especially the population at the bottom, is going to be able to take advantage of it. I mean, if they shouldn't send, I mean, will they send checks or will they give you a tax credit and then you get a check there? I don't know. I don't think they've thought this through. It's a way of appeasing people who are pissed about what's happened. You know, there are a lot of people and a lot of Republicans, let's be clear, who are very disturbed about his first month.
Yeah.
There are all these things he said he could do in one day, and 9 months in, he hasn't done them and isn't paying attention to them. He's having a whole lot of fun putting a sombrero on Hakeem Jeffries' head. A whole lot of, you know, I mean, and Elon, what's his name? No, J.D. Vance said, oh, well, he's just having fun. Well, who has fun with a failing economy?
Yeah.
How do you play fun when people are hungry? Fun when on November 1st, people are going to find out how much they're going to owe for the health care next year. And if something isn't fixed with the Affordable Care Act, et cetera, you know what? It's going to be ugly. It's going to be very ugly. So if he's having fun, it's like Nero fiddling while Rome burns. He's having fun.
I mean, it's giving
And
Marie Antoinette for sure.
Oh, hey, it makes Marie Antoinette look like I don't know, look like somebody who's like a proletariat.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I mean, these words they use, fun. They're thinking this is a romp through the wild side, and people who live at the bottom of the income distribution are thinking, God, please help me.
I mean, and another word that they're uses that I was harping on today was opportunity, because the president said thank you to Democrats for giving him this opportunity. He said that while trying to blame the government shutdown on Dems, even though we know it was him and the Republicans trying to stop you from getting a health care subsidy or trying to push through their Medicaid and Medi-Cal cuts. But he says it's an opportunity, that Democrats are giving him an opportunity to reshape the government in the image of Project 2025, which he supposedly knew nothing about. But it reminds me of what you're saying about fun. People are going to lose their health benefits. They're going to lose their subsidies. They are going to be struggling, and that is an opportunity in his eyes.
Well, Democrats did provide him the possibility of closing all this stuff down, but we knew if you read Project 2025, he said he was going to do it anyway. Right. So the word opportunity is misplaced. But this is, this is everything that he does. These people, we can't give them credit for anything but being brilliant. I was watching Pam Bondi earlier, and she didn't answer any questions. She was borderline belligerent, and she kept talking about what's his name being the greatest president ever. I mean, this administration is built on a foundation of sycophant repeating the same lame praise that he obviously lapped up.
Yeah, but so we only have a minute and a half till news, traffic, and sports. We'll keep talking on the other side. But if in the name of Project 2025 and the government shutdown, you're laying off thousands, tens of thousands of people, how does that help your legacy? You're going to take the hit for the job losses and the economic impact. Why don't they care?
Because he's told a dystopian fairy tale that people believe. People believe that crap that he says. Therein lies the problem. And they frankly know better. So he says this stuff and they go along with it. They think there's some magic dust at the end of the trail, and there isn't. He's moving the economy into a much weaker position than it was when he took over. And he keeps saying, well, it's going to turn around, it's going to turn around, it's going to turn around. Well, it's not going to turn around unless something happens. And he doesn't seem to be the one to make it happen. So, but as I said, your question is spot on. Why would he do anti-business things? Because the answer is it's not all businesses.
Yeah.
Some businesses and some allies as well. And, I always say when I'm basically admitting that I'm not talking to, I'm going to say it anyway. If I didn't know any better, I believe that he was a Russian spy. If I didn't know any better, I believe that he and Putin have an agenda to topple the United States. Because that seems to me to be the direction we're going in.
Wow. Yeah, well, it does. I mean, it looks like he's dismantling the United States as we know it. We're talking with economist and author Dr. Julianne Malveaux. We'll have more after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More first things first with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he may invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy the military in cities run by Democrats.
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason.
He told reporters he'd use the 1807 law if necessary, citing court blocks and rising violence. The act was last used during the 1992 LA riots. Outgoing New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is proposing $74 million in new taxes and fees to balance next year's budget. The hike includes sales tax increases and higher fines for parking and permits. Furloughs aren't planned, but hiring remains frozen. And a Black 7-year-old girl from Evansville, Indiana, has died after collapsing at an after-school program. Staff called 911 and tried to revive Precious Lewis, but she didn't survive. Her family is now searching for answers about what caused her sudden death. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Celebrating 100 years, Mount St. Mary's University LA is dedicated to moving your life and career forward. Earn your undergraduate or graduate degree and become unstoppable. Find out how at msmu.edu.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers remain undefeated in the postseason after a tense win Monday night in Philadelphia. The Dodgers held on for a 4-3 victory. They're up 2-0 in the best-of-5 divisional playoffs. They can close out the Phillies with a win in Game 3 Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said there are no plans to move the NBA All-Star Game if the Clippers are punished by the league for alleged salary cap violations. The NBA is investigating the Clippers and team owner Steve Ballmer. The Clippers are the host franchise for the All-Star Game, scheduled for February 15th at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. After Week 5 of the NFL regular season, New York Jets coach Aaron Glenn remains the only coach in the league without a win. The Jets are 0-5. Glenn, in his first season with the Jets, is one of 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 indeed. And we are honored. I'm honored and really so much fun, but also informative whenever Dr. Julianne Malveaux is on the show. Just one of those great minds that I'm happy to be in conversation with. So we're talking about all things economic because she's an economist, and so many kinds of crazy is going on right now. So, you know, and I take your point about, I hadn't looked at it that way. If I'm Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos and I'm sitting on billions, I can get things, you know, in a fire sale, and I benefit from that. One of the things that doesn't seem to make sense again, though, is here you have this America First rhetoric, but we're bailing out Argentina? Make it make sense.
Well, as you said, it's rhetoric. We're seen as cogs in the machine. Bailing out Argentina, in my mind, well, they made so many bad decisions that you can't say it's the worst. But to what end? Again, it's to the end of supporting empire over people. So, I mean, I think it's a stupid thing to do when Americans are looking at an economic turn down and people are wondering what's going to happen to them. It's almost an in-your-face kind of move. But at the same time, it's what this man is about. I mean, I think his goal in office is disruption.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what you were saying about the speculation about a Putin, you know, actually takedown of the United States in conjunction with the president.
Yeah. And, you know, he still maintains, I mean, he's had 9 months now. He has yet to do anything, let's say, to Putin. Yet to do anything. Putin has defied him, overruled him, ignored him on Ukraine. And he's just like, well, we'll look at, maybe we'll do some sanctions later.
Yeah.
Do you really think that's going to work?
So you're saying maybe not.
I don't expect anything to change with regard to Putin. I think that the two of them are in cahoots. Now, that's my 70s or 60s paranoia talking. But just because you paranoid don't mean they're not out to get you.
Yeah, well, or as William Burroughs used to say, paranoia is having all the facts. So again, you're defunding a lot of programs that help U.S. farmers, including USAID, where farmers were selling their crops that we were then used to help people in foreign countries. And now, as a result of this terrible policy, farms are foreclosing. And now they're talking about doing a subsidy for farmers. Make it make sense.
Well, the subsidy for farmers under the tariff circumstance are necessary. In other words, the tariffs have really decimated the soybean market here in the United States. China responded to the tariffs by saying, okay, we're not going to buy this soybeans. So now we get yet another lesson of how intertwined our existences are, intertwined our economies are. Yeah. I mean, we get that sense when we look at this and say, OMG, we were counting on China to buy these soybeans, which were contributing to our GDP. Now they're gone. What are we going to do with all these darn soybeans?
Right.
So that's where we kind of are with that. So giving those farmers something of a subsidy tries to make them whole. It's not the best way to make them whole, but it tries to make them whole. And so we have to pay attention to that and say, okay, they're not above or below doing economic manipulation, which is what they're doing. And of course, we know that that's what they do. But the whole notion of the soybeans are a great example of how intertwined we are.
Yeah.
China's bigger than us. We keep forgetting China is bigger than us. China can do a lot to us by simply withholding their patronage, withholding their buying power. Our global economic system is based on reciprocity. Trump comes in, before now, yeah, there were tariffs, yeah, there were international squabbles. People sat down and talked about it. Everybody didn't leave the table happy, but people were able to say, I sat at the table and this is what I said. This guy, he don't want to talk to anybody. He just wants to do what he wants to do. And it's having long-term economic ramifications, and he doesn't care.
I mean, you claim you're saving money by cutting this foreign aid. You claim you're saving money by cutting these, programs that help farmers and such. And then you have to give them money because you ruined the way that they were selling their soybeans. So how is that a savings? And of course, this other story, which has been going around the internet, which I was able to actually verify, Snopes calls it true, which is that the vice president has a financial interest in a company called Acre Trader, which snaps up agricultural land in foreclosure. So if that is true, which Snopes seems to indicate it is, that's a conflict of interest. You're creating policies that destabilize farmers, forcing them to sell for pennies on the dollar, and then you have a financial interest in a firm that takes advantage of that very scenario.
Well, again, he's learning from his master. I mean, Trump has been taking advantage of the economy since he became president. Now the vice president is saying, well, good for the goose, good for the gander.
Yeah. So let's all feast on the bones of the American people.
Exactly. Well, I was watching Pam Bondi, and it was interesting. Someone asked her about the $50,000 that was passed to a federal agent and what happened to it. And she refused to answer. But
that was the money that was supposed to be a payoff for Tom Homan? Is that who it was?
Yeah.
The borders are? Yeah.
Yeah. And no one knows where the money is. Now,
you can't follow the money because someone stuffed it in their bra or in their chonies.
That's in their bra. Their bra will work. But it's bad. So you're right. You can't follow the money because you don't know where it is. You can't. What we're dealing with is a situation, and it's a situation where he's now the president is the grifter in chief.
Yeah.
And he's created all these other grifters who are figuring out ways that they can make money from the government, while hardworking taxpayers are simply figuring out how to survive.
Oh, Lord. Well, that is one of the reasons why I worry about this tariff stimulus check, because I know that a lot of people that don't read the news too often credited Trump with the last stimulus check. Remember Sexy Red? I don't know. She's your favorite rapper, but saying that she was going to vote for him because he gave her the stimmy, and then she found out she changed her mind after someone sat her down and talked to her. But the point is, if he does this again, he will get credit from a lot of people. Again, see, the stimmy is back, and that $1,000 may buy votes. Not that he necessarily needs votes, because he said he didn't need any votes anymore ever, that this was the last time anyone had to vote.
Well, this is very interesting because, first of all, I don't think these checks are coming out. I think that he's going to keep talking about it. There's some impediments to the checks. There's some legal impediments. He just can't cut checks to every taxpayer. Basically, Congress has to buy in. Of course, with this spineless Congress, they might. But there's questions about budgetary implications. There are a whole lot of questions. And so he can keep talking about a check, but I give it a 30-70 chance that there actually are checks. They may happen.
And where's the money coming from, right? Like
it will come from taxpayer rolls, and it will cause taxes to go up. So you're thinking hold it. They're thinking that the American people are so dumb that you get a check and everything else that has to happen to you goes out the window. You get a check, you get the so-called DOGE check, but your health insurance premium goes up. But inflation continues to rise. But, you can just go list all the buts. And basically, at the end of all that, you're in the hole. You're not gaining, you're losing.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's smoke and mirrors, I guess, in a sense. And most of us aren't sophisticated enough to see it. We're going to keep this conversation going. When we come forward, I want to get Dr. Julianne Malveaux's thoughts about why are Black women the ones losing our jobs by the hundreds of thousands? How do they manage that? How is that not DEI? It's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-515-4493, 800-515-4493, 800-515-4493.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Dr. Julianne Malveaux is my guest. Why are Black women the ones? How are we being targeted to lose our jobs by the hundreds of thousands? And how is this not DEI for white people?
No, and that's exactly what it is. It's exactly DEI to white people. And part of the challenge is when those came in cutting government agencies, Black women are disproportionately represented in government agencies. We are about, 6-7% of the population is Black women. And we're probably about 12 to 14% of federal employees. Now, these are not all living jobs. Many of them are, they're the clerical worker, they're the support staff, they're perhaps the cleaning staff. But some of them are very good jobs. Right. And these jobs that Black women got, essentially, when we look at it, those jobs are the backbone at some level of the Black community. That's how our kids are going to college. That's how our kids are going to college. That's how a number of other things are happening. And so, basically, I like the term of reverse DEI. A lot of jobs in HR, Black women, and so when you cuts never happen proportionately. There's always going to be, like I said, just like the economy and economic shutdowns, there are always going to be winners and losers. And what we're experiencing now is just Black women being losers. I'm not saying just as in it's okay. It's not okay. I think, frankly, that it was quite deliberate. But that's where we are.
Yeah. So because we're in those jobs in disproportionate numbers, which I knew that. I called it from the beginning because I used to work in a job that could have been called DEI. But there was some publication, I think it was Forbes, that had an article about how DEI has almost become like a scarlet letter, where it was Forbes, where if you're Black and you have a job, or Latino or disabled, they're going to assume you got that job by DEI, and you become more vulnerable to cut and less likely to be hired because of this assumption that it's automatically DEI.
Well, that's just like the affirmative action of the 70s.
Right.
The same thing. I was once told by a highly intoxicated white boy, which is the only thing that saved him from getting smacked in the head, is that I had an affirmative action PhD. And I'm like, affirmative action didn't write this dissertation.
That's crazy.
But that back in the day, that was a put down. Well, you got your job because of affirmative action. So there's so many things, Dr. It would be funny, but it isn't. Well, we're going backwards.
Yeah, it's laugh to keep from crying time. Okay, so the National Economic Council director said on yesterday that the government shutdown could cost us $15 billion a week. How is that not a problem?
Yeah, well, there you have it. This basically, let's say, because there's a lot of flap going around.
Right.
The reason why the Democrats are putting their feet down is because on November 1st or thereabout, next week, you get a letter in the mail. It's open enrollment period for health insurance. You get a letter in the mail telling you to pick your company, that you'll see what the costs are. The costs are projected to be at least 10% higher than last year, and in some cases as much as 20 to 30% higher, depending on who you are, what you need, And it's more than a notion to deal with this stuff, but you'll have to deal with it sometime in the month of November. You'll get this letter, then you got to do it. And the Obama subsidies, and we should stop calling them Obama to take those people. Let's just say the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Those subsidies run out at the end of this month. So you don't know how much you're going to get, but you know how much more you're going to have to pay. And Democrats have been pushing since March to get some traction on this healthcare issue. And Republicans have resisted. And finally, and I think that they should have done this earlier, but they didn't. And I'm a Monday morning quarterback on this. Mm-hmm. Finally, we see that they keep talking about, well, we need more money to keep the government open. And watch Hakeem Jeffries and the others are saying, well, yeah, but can we work on this healthcare thing? Because we need more money to make sure people are covered. Remember, the last study we had about healthcare-related deaths was in 2009. It was a Harvard study. And they showed that 44,000 people died because they didn't have any health care.
Wow.
That was one of the impetus to putting some subsidies and other things into the Affordable Care Act. But Democrats and Republicans agreed they should expire on October 31st, which is, 3 weeks from now?
Yeah.
And so that's why they are saying, no, we're not going to compromise. We're not going to do anything. We need to get this language. Now, meanwhile, what the Republicans are saying is, well, you guys passed the CR in March, which they did. And so what's the big difference? Well, the big difference is the timeline. And so some people are listening. If you're listening to a lot of television, you're hearing a distorted message. And the question is, the timeline is what's making the difference here. But I just want listeners to understand that the Republicans are not being crazy. They're fighting for your health. They are fighting for your ability to have health care.
You mean the Dems, yeah. Real quick, because we just have a couple minutes here, Dr. Malveaux. Are we looking at a recession, and what should we be doing as everyday people and families to protect ourselves?
50-50, we're looking for a recession. First act of business, stack your money. In other words, first of all, I wish we could just do an economic days of absence anyway, just so we're not going to spend. But I know my people better than that. But make sure you have some money. Make sure you have some cash. I mean, seriously, make sure you can pay your rent or mortgage or something for 3 months. If your kids, and we all love our kids, and they need it. I had a little girl tell me one time she would die if she didn't get a Louis Vuitton bag. I looked at her, I said, "Can I watch that?"
Can I see you die? So time to double down. Time to double down on our kids and ourselves and stop spending unnecessary money. Oh, I know that, but it's so hard. And abstain and stack cash because we don't know what's ahead. And you said 50-50 a recession.
Yeah, that's what I'm. 40 plus. It's not quite 50. 40+% in the last economic survey of economists said yes, recession. And, I'm a little more pessimistic than most. I say it's 50-50. Unless something drastic, if nothing drastic happens, we're looking for some hard times ahead, and we're not looking for a great Christmas.
Low scaled down Xmas. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, it's always so great to talk with you. Tell folks how to keep up with you, your writings, and your work.
Well, JulianneMalveaux.com is the best place to find me. It's my website, my columns on there. And we're starting sometime before the end of the year, but the info will be on JulianneMalveaux.com.
Okay, well, thank you so much. It's always informative and fun to talk with you, and I appreciate your stepping in to help us get it together and understanding so many things that are changing right now.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work, Dominique. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Professor. It's much appreciated. Oh, I think I might still owe Dr. Malveaux a paper. The hottest professor in the history of San Francisco State University. Well, look, it's time for the Tavis Smiley Show, and I know you're happy about that because he always has great guests and incredible conversation. As for me, I'll be on social media doing things, so hit me up there. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. The station is at KBLA 1580. KBLA 1580. Please like, follow, and subscribe while you're at it so we can keep each other strong. Today's my papa's heavenly birthday, so I'm going to a quote from him, my favorite quote from the late, great Amiri Baraka, Poet Laureate Emeritus of New Jersey. He says, "A man is either free or he's not free. There can be no apprenticeship for freedom." I'm Dominique DiPrima. Pretty sure you know that. I will talk to you off the mic on socials, but until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he may invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy the military in cities run by Democrats.
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So